Oh, my director says, there you go, TV47 Weekend Edition starts right now, and I agree that indeed it is time for TV47 Weekend Edition, and thereafter we'll be getting to her say with a very important conversation. I'll tell you what it will be about, but it's important that I welcome you on this great broadcast. I hope that you've had a great Saturday and set to hear what is in store for you in the world of news. My name is Linda Alela. On the sign language interpreter's desk, I'll be having Kelvin Makori to walk me through on that. But today's focus on her say will be about the World Mental Health Day, which is celebrated every year on October the 10th, of course, in appreciation of this very important day. And that is 5 days from now. We speak to the chairperson, of course, the Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, that is KCPA, Professor Catherine Gachagua. She speaks to the mental state of the country and the journey as a counseling psychologist, or her journey, of course, as a researcher, an author, and an educationist with 25 years of practice in different institutions. Of course, we appreciate the fact that she holds a doctorate in philosophy and psychology, that is from the University of South Africa, UNISA, as well as a master's in counseling studies from the University, that is in UK. And of course, she'll be painting a picture of where we are at as a country when it comes to that. But allow us to first of all take a look at what is in the world of news, and here are the highlights. Tonight, did the public really have a chance to give their views during the participation process? And was the goal of impeachment achieved? We examine the laws governing public participation. Also tonight, 8 people have lost their lives in Bangali, Tana River, following violent clashes between communities over a land dispute.
Nilipigwa risasi karibu 30. Huyu mzee hakujua kuroll. Lakini mimi niliroll, nilipigwa risasi mpaka ikakuwa vumbi.
And a family in the country is seeking justice after their relative was arrested in Madagascar for allegedly illegal fishing.
Economy haina faida, na sisi kama namna hii, nani atakubali mtoto wake kumtia kwenye meli saa hii?
At Linda_Alela is my X handle. Hashtag, as always, is her say. 22047 being the SMS short code. I'll be looking at some of your comments as we continue. Now, on the second day of public participation, several constituencies across the country experienced a low turnout. This comes just as after the Kerugoya court ruled that the process of gathering opinions on the bill to remove Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua should then continue, as Sheila Chelangat details.
Contrary to the scenes yesterday at the counties during the second day of the public participation on the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, a low turnout was witnessed. In Kibwezi East, Makueni County, this was the situation. The constituency offices remained shut, forcing locals to go back home.
Kuna makosa kwa Gachagua, pia kuna makosa kwa Ruto. Na hii maneno ya Mwengi Mutuse, MP wa Kibwezi East, hiyo ni maneno yake. Hiyo ni njaa yake. Amefanya maneno yake kwa sababu ya kutaka kusibisha tumbo yake.
In Kikuyu constituency, Kiambu County, the number of people streaming to have their voices heard was fewer than yesterday's.
Hizo grounds ambazo wameleta hapa, wananchi hawajijui. Kwa hivyo unapoona watu wakuji, namba moja ni kwamba hawajafanyiwa civic education.
Sisi ni kusikia, tunasikia wakisema, lakini hawajatuletea sisi wenyewe tujisome, tujue ile makosa ambayo anaambiwa aondoke.
And chaos ensued at the Laikipia West constituency CDF offices as enraged residents stormed out of the venue, claiming that the documents provided for them to append signatures were fake.
Hii ni karatasi inaweza tengenezewa cyber, mtu ajaze, hata maoni yenye nitatoa hata haitakuwa imefika huko bunge.
Kama watakutana Jumanne na hao ndio wenye kusema deputy wetu waende, tutakuwa na uhakika gani kama maoni ya Wakenya watapeleka pale?
Similarly, in Kiambaa, agitated residents raised down posters of the constituency's member of parliament, accusing him of not attending the forum to listen to their wishes on the impeachment.
Hata hatutaki kuwapatia, tukijazwa na watu wa Kiambaa tutaipeleka kwa bunge sisi wenyewe. Tutakuwa na delegation ya kuzipeleka huko. Kwa sababu hatuna amani, watapeleka vile tumesema.
And just like yesterday, Kenyans had mixed views on the motion to impeach the deputy president.
Gachagua ni mzuri, hatuoni vile anaweza tuambia saa hizi ni mbaya. Kwa hivyo kama Gachagua anaenda, pia rais aende.
Wakati tulikuwa tunachagua deputy president, tulichagua wakiwa wote wawili. Kwa hivyo kama ni kwenda waende wote wawili.
Hii mambo ya MP kwenda hivi, hiyo hataki. Tuletewe kama vile tumeletewa sisi public participation, tuamue sisi wenyewe.
Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Kenyans are frustrated by the public participation process that is related to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's impeachment. Many feel that their concerns were ignored and that their views may not count. Meanwhile, the court is expected to rule next week on cases trying to stop the impeachment, as Paul Kirubi details.
The two-day public participation process aimed at impeaching Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua could raise serious questions about this government's legacy, with many Kenyans, regardless of political affiliation, remaining unsure whether their views will count after the exercise and instead choosing to air what really bothers them.
Across the board, what we have also heard or seen is that people are saying this is not our issue. The public participation process that have been organized are not about our priorities. We have seen Adani deal being done without public participation. We have seen affordable housing, issues being done without public participation. We have seen issues of shift now going on without public participation. So even the degree of investment by the National Assembly on this particular process, including even the gazettement notice and deploying officers across all the 290 constituencies.
On the flip side, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has submitted several petitions urging the court to stop the impeachment process. He and his legal team are also requesting that his family not be involved in the matter. Early this week, judges ruled that all petitions related to the case would be heard next week. 5 individuals led by Obuli Namenya approached the court arguing that the impeachment process violates the Constitution. They claimed that the necessary public participation as outlined in the National Assembly Standing Order 64 and 65 and the Senate Standing Order number 74 had not been followed. Another petition to halt the impeachment process was filed by Caroline Wambui Mwangi, seeking temporary orders to block the proceedings. Among the 10 additional petitions is one presented by Kirinyaga County MP Njeri Maina and the former United Democratic Alliance Party Secretary General Cleophas Malala. In her petition, filed before the High Court in Kerugoya, Kirinyaga, Maina argues that the notice period for public hearings was too short, insufficient and ineffective. In another petition before the Milimani High Court, Cleophas Malala claims the impeachment process is unlawful and procedurally flawed. He argues that the National Assembly and the Senate have not met the constitutional gender parity requirement of not more than 2/3 of either gender, rendering the process null and void. For the second day in a row, the turnout for the public participation process remained low in some areas.
Bunge, tumieni wakati wenu vizuri. Wakati wenu mnatumia vibaya. Mambo ya Gachagua hatutaki kusikia.
Gachagua aende nyumbani. Basi nadhani kwamba bunge lote na rais pia nao waende.
Kwa hiyo wakae pamoja, wasuluhishe tofauti zao, mwananchi apata nini huduma, kwa sababu mpaka sasa hatujaona kazi Ruto ametufanyia.
Governance expert Kevin Osido believes that Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua could use this low turnout to his advantage when presenting his case in court. Considering the recent political developments, it could appear that President William Ruto's ability to fulfill his Kenya Kwanza promises has been significantly hindered. With only a few years remaining in his term, the pressure is mounting for the head of state to show tangible results of his achievements so far. Governance governance expert Kevin Osido remarks that it will be quite challenging for President Ruto to deliver on his promises over the next 3 years, given the current political situation. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Paul, for that. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has denied using a company called Murani Manufacturers Limited to accumulate wealth. His lawyer, Danstan Omari, explained that the company belongs to Gachagua's wife, that is Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, and former police officer Joshua Waiganjo. Gachagua now wants us to sue, of course, Member of Parliament Mwengi Mutuse for falsely claiming the company is his. Omari also stated that Pastor Dorcas is not involved in politics and shouldn't be dragged into this matter.
They laid in ground 7 the following charges. I read them. Serious reasons to believe that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed crimes under Section 45(1), 46, 47A and 3 and 48(1) of the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act and Section 2, 3, 4 and 7 of the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act. That is the charge sheet. That is the charge that faces Gachagua. Movers of the petition were putting a lot of emotional matters to attack the wife of the deputy president. We know very well, under Uhuru Kenyatta, nobody ever attacked the children of the then deputy president. We shall take further instructions to sue. I know the member of parliament will claim that matters tabled in parliament have privileged protection. We shall seek to remove that privilege so that the family, the wife of His Excellency, the Deputy President, the children of His Excellency, the Deputy President are protected.
And we're still on that impeachment talk where differences are growing within political parties as members disagree over the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. And recently, the ODM party has stepped back, with some leaders saying they don't want to be involved in the leadership problems of Kenya Kwanza. This motion may also lead to new political divisions in the Mount Kenya region, with legislators sharply divided.
Order. Just 2 days before members of the National Assembly get to debate on the Deputy President's impeachment motion, and as well likely hear from the DP, the highly debated motion appears to be sharply dividing political movements as leaders publicly differ on whether Rigathi Gachagua should go home or not.
Niseme nisiseme. Niseme nisiseme.
Early this week, when the motion was first presented in Parliament by its mover, Kibwezi East MP Mwengi Mutuse, notable names of MPs from the ODM party were among those who reportedly apprehended their signatures in support of the motion. However, a statement from ODM's deputy party leader Simba Arati, who spoke in Migori County, could mean otherwise.
Our brothers in Kenya Kwanza, the challenges they are facing today for the impeachment of the deputy president, as a party, we are not party to it. What Parliament is doing, they are doing what they are supposed to do. Therefore, we ask them to diligently assess, evaluate, and give verdict as it is.
Despite these statements, a section of ODM leaders and legislators continue to drum up support for the impeachment motion. Busia County Governor Paul Otuoma says that Rigathi has to leave office, accusing him of advancing regional politics. In the coastal region, Malindi Member of Parliament Amina Mnyazi has stated that the accusations laid against Rigathi cannot be swept under the carpet.
And every day you are reminding people about tribalism. That is not integrity. Hiyo lazima uoneshe mlango, so speaker, hii kitu ni important.
Kwa hivyo mimi watu wangu wa Langobaya, mambo sasa, nataka niwaambie Jumanne ikifika kwa baraka zenu. Mumeniambia nikifika tayari niseme kwamba nani aende wapi? Rigiji must go. Hapo hakuna story, hakuna kesi.
In the Mount Kenya region, the impeachment motion seems to be shaking up the political structures in the area.
Clearly speaking, there has been no public participation in regard to the impeachment motion before Parliament.
While a section of MPs led by the National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah has vowed to fully support the motion, some have first switched their stance.
The courts are very clear. It is as clear as white and black that public participation, for it to be sufficient, there must be reasonable notice. It has to be qualitative and quantitative. And I am aware that the forms do not have any serial numbers, that people have been filling forms midnight, that they intend to sneak those forms to Parliament.
After public participation, the impeachment motion is now expected back in the National Assembly on Tuesday, where MPs will debate the motion and also hear from the Deputy President. In order for the motion to pass on Tuesday, it shall require at least 233 MPs voting in support. While initially 291 MPs supported the impeachment motion, the numbers could drop as the legislators appear to be dramatically switching camps. All eyes shall now be on the August House. Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Now, tension remains high in several villages in Bangali sub-county, Tana River, after interclan clashes over land disputes claimed 8 lives. The incident, which happened at the KBC grounds, was sparked by disagreements over relocation, that is, decision by the county government.
Just months after the deadly floods witnessed in the country, 8 people have lost their lives after being killed in interclan clashes over land disputes in a village in Tana River County.
Mimi niko na uchungu na ndugu yangu amekufa. Na sababu ya kufa ni risasi imelia. Na si risasi ya serikali, ni risasi ya watu haramu.
Kama kweli hili jambo linafanyika linatusikitisha sana kama jamii. Imetokea Kisanga ya kwanza, watu wetu 4 wameuawa.
Tuna haki Kenya. Na kwa kuwa sisi Wilbara tunamanisika na serikali wamelalia masikio. Hiyo ni uhaki, hiyo hakuna uhaki.
This follows efforts by the county government of Tana River to evacuate flood victims from the disaster-hit areas, which have been strongly opposed by some of the residents. The skirmishes escalated to the KBC area where the flood victims had settled recently, and a village elder Daud Shora was shot 4 times and died on the spot.
Bwana Rais, ulisema watu wa mafuriko waende juu kwa sababu maeneo yao wanaishi ni maeneo yameharibika na maji. Na hii kitu inaendelea, tunaweka amani, lakini tunaendelea kutukuuawa.
Hata mfiniko tulihamishwa huko kwa sababu huko tulipata shida, tukaambiwa tutahama huko juu. Lakini kitu nimeshangaa ni kwamba wakati tunahama huko juu, serikali inasema wakati kitu yote itatokea huko, watu asitajwe DC.
The local residents are now blaming the area police officers for what they said was negligence for not responding in time to save lives, with the residents now calling for the immediate transfer of the area police boss.
Wote risasi ya kwanza imelia, ya pili kulia. Gari ya polisi iko hapa hivi, haiko mbali. Nikaangalia polisi, nikaona pengine wanaweza kuja kutusaidia, na polisi wakaenda zao. Kwa hivyo mimi sina imani kama Mohamed Shara Saidi, ndugu ya marehemu, sina imani na polisi, sina imani na OSS wa Madogo.
The clashes comes a week after 5 political leaders from Tana River County were summoned to appear before the National Cohesion and Integration Commission on October 8th over incitement incident linked to the clashes between communities neighboring Tana River and Kitui counties.
Na kulengamana na hii maneno inaendelea, mbunge ako behind this. Mbunge ako behind this, anajua kila kitu inaendelea.
Samira Mohammed for TV47.
After the High Court suspended the new higher education funding system, the Ministry of Education has announced plans to appeal the ruling. Education CS Julius Migosi expressed concerns that the decision might cause confusion in the student funding process. Ruga Ival has the details.
The future of funding for over 200,000 students under the new education funding model now hangs in the balance as the case awaits a decision from Judge Chachamwita. The Ministry of Education now filing an appeal against the ruling.
And we've instructed the AG to apply for review of it because what it purports to do is something that had already started. It purports to stop the implementation of the funding model which started last year. So it's not clear as to what is being stopped.
Cabinet Secretary Julius Migosi fears the decisions could further complicate the successful implementation of the funding process.
We've instructed our lawyers to go back to court to get clearer information on it because the implications are not clear.
The system is still in its first academic year, with some students, however, openly criticizing its effectiveness.
Perhaps government should consider people who are from humble backgrounds and maybe at least lower for band 4 and band 5. They are supposed to be paying a lot.
Additionally, Migosi notes that efforts to improve and enhance the system are already underway, highlighting that they will prioritize students' voices in the revision process.
Remember, the thematic areas include the appeals, include the loans, include the cost of the programs, etc. So they're going to look into that, do a deep dive and start working now on the issues that they have raised themselves.
The case will be heard on the 16th of December, effectively scuttling the government's attempts to sort out the controversies that have arisen from the banding process that is core to the funding model.
Ruga Ival, TV47.
Thank you, Ruga, for that. Now, the United Democratic Alliance, a UDA party, is planning to establish a political academy that is to train young people across the country in leadership. UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar announced that the academy would then be set up in a few weeks, as Chichi Josephine details.
President William Ruto's United Democratic Alliance Party painted Nakuru City yellow as a youth as well as university and college students convened for UDA Nakuru chapter with the theme Comrades for Inclusive Leadership in Political Processes.
Comrades power! Comrades power!
During the meeting, UDA Secretary General Hassan Omar revealed that the party has set aside a parcel of land meant for construction of a political academy, which will not only offer knowledge on leadership, but also equip young people with leadership skills as a platform for competitive leadership.
The party has already acquired a land to build what we call the UDA Political Academy, or the UDA Academy. We will start a syllabus, a curriculum that gives you that transition from the various aspects of leadership to national leadership.
The Kenya Kwanza government, according to the SG, acknowledges that there are issues today that remain a thorn in the flesh of Kenyan youth, and the government is working on formulating policies that will include all Kenyans' ideas, both politically and economically.
We are a listening government. The President William Ruto is a listening president, and we have come here to harvest ideas for policy formulation. We have come here to ensure that all of us are able to participate in making sure that we create a country that is inclusive, both politically and economically.
The UDA Comrades chapter, which was launched on September 20th, 2024, seeks to establish a robust social political hustler movement to empower and mobilize youth across the country.
Now that we have the UDA Comrades chapter, how is it that immediately we move from campus? What is it that the party will do to keep these ladies and gentlemen here on toes and open them opportunities from government?
If today I was to vie for a member of parliament, I would be told I'm a boy, or I still have a milk teeth, I don't have beard and all that. So there is a lot that needs to be done with the society so that we can change their perception about leadership and the youth.
Chichi Josephine, TV47.
Comrades power.
Thank you, Chichi. Now, a family from Tana River is pleading with the government to help secure the release of their son who was arrested in Madagascar waters. Mbarak Awath Mbarak has been held there since June, along with 2 other Kenyans, while the owner of the fishing vessel they worked on has gone into hiding.
The blue economy is one of the key drivers of the Kenyan economy, and many families depend on it to earn a living, more so the people of the coastal region. With the optimism of succeeding in the sector, things in the sea may take a twist when key players in the industry don't safeguard the welfare of the workforce and do proper regulation and licensing of vessels that operate in the sea.
Watesa sana. Na vibali vimetoka Kenya.
The family of Awath Mbarak is now disturbed that their son, a fisherman among 3 Kenyans, was arrested and held in Madagascar in June this year for allegedly conducting illegal fishing. The family is now appealing for their kin in the foreign land to be released.
Blue economy haina faida na sisi kama namna hii. Nani atakubali mtoto wake kumtia kwenye meli saa hii?
The father says he has tried to reach out to the relevant authorities, Fisheries Department and the Kenya Maritime Authority to rescue his son, but his efforts have remained futile.
Inashangaza sana kwamba serikali inapeana kibali cha meli alafu kisha inaposhikwa zile taasisi ambazo zinazohusika hazifuatilii.
Mbarak Awath Mbarak, a resident of Tana Delta in Tana River County, has a seafarer certificate which allows him to work at sea. It's alleged that the ship he was working in as a fisherman belonged to a Sri Lankan who abandoned it at the Madagascar port and disappeared in thin air.
Wale waliokuwa wakiwasimamia akiwemo agent ambaye alikuwa Madagascar hivi sasa ameshaikimbia. Na yule ambaye aliregister hii company hapa pia amekimbia tarehe 2 mwezi huu akaenda Sri Lanka.
Sote tuna malalamiko ya ndugu zetu wako huko Madagascar, wanapitia hali ngumu na hatujalipwa pesa zetu kwa kama tulivyokuwa tumekubaliana na huyo director ambaye kwa sasa hivi hayuko Kenya, ameondoka. Jina lake anaitwa Mr. Niwan Chandaria.
The father is drained financially because he is forced to support the other Kenyans who are in the cell awaiting the hearing of their case.
Sasa imekuwa mimi ndiye kama mwenye meli ambaye ninawasimamia mabaharia, na ni kama mzazi nina uchungu wa mtoto wangu kwamba amekwenda kule na iwateseka sana kwa sababu hapo jela hakuna mattress. Tangu wengi hapo jela watu 2 washa paralyze.
Even as the case starts in a Madagascar court, the family of Mbarak Awath Mbarak, Mohamed Bakari and Patrick Karisa want the government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to intervene.
Nimeongea na Foreign Affairs, anaambia angoja ripoti kutoka kwa KMA. Sasa ni mwezi wa 2 huu unaelekea. Tangu wiki iliyopita namwambia watu ni wagonjwa huko, anangoja ripoti kwa KMA mpaka sasa. Wale si watakufa.
Our efforts to get a response from the Kenya Maritime Authority, which is charged with the safety in the marine ecosystem, were futile.
Mashirika yale atakayosaidia wanione na mimi hapa, na naomba Bwana Joho ende unaijua habari za pwani na kuangukia miguuni. Watu wanakufa Madagascar, vijana wa Kenya wanakufa, na kazi imefanywa Mombasa na makampuni bogus ya kuandika watu kazi.
Joash Onsare, TV47.
Sports news brought to you by Maybet. Bet bila stake. Predict the outcome of 8 pre-selected games and win up to 100,000 shillings. Only at maybet.com.
All right, and it is time for us to get sporty, and of course we have lots lined up for you in relation to that. Let us get beginning right here in the country, where Muthoni Kanana of Windsor Golf Club continued her impressive winning streak on the second day of the annual Kenya Ladies Open Amateur Stroke Play That is the championship held at VetLab Sports Club in Nairobi. Kanana scored 3 over par 75, bringing her total to 150 points over Friday and Saturday. However, she faces a stiff competition from Naomi Wafula of Vipingo Golf Resort and Joyce Wanjiru of Kiambu Golf Club. And of course, this 3-day 54-hole Kenya Ladies Golf Union KLGU event, which concludes on Sunday, October the 6th, 2024, has drawn about 62 lady golfers from various clubs across the country, that is in Uganda, Tanzania, Zimbabwe. And of course, last year's stroke play winner, Edi Madina from Tanzania, is defending her title, while Kenya's elite players like Naomi Wafula, Joyce Wanjiru, Mercy Nyanchama, and Muthoni Kanana, that is Muthomi Kanana, battle it out for top honors.
We have 62 golfers in the field at the VetLab Sports Club, of which we have about 15 international elite players. We are competing for various trophies, the most prestigious one being the Mary Neville Trophy, which is played by golfers of handicap 9 and below. This is a WAGA ranked event, which means the World Amateur Golf Ranking, an international and prestigious ranking of elite players. The Stroke Play Championship is played over 3 rounds, 54 holes in 3 days, and the overall winner of the 54 holes will get a prestigious award and will be recognized and will also earn Golfer of the Year points.
All right, we take a quick short break from that very point, and of course we come back with that very important conversation with the Prof. You need not to miss out on that, even as we take a look at the country's state of mental health. At this point, I release Kelvin Makori. Shortly, we'll be having Chebi Watt on the sign language interpreter's side joining us after this break.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in? I was number 2. What position were you? Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m.
creating time to be here with us. And Kenyans are eagerly waiting to hear from you. But beyond that, to hear about the health state of the nation. It's an honor to have you at this very point. And I think it's only fair that I allow you to introduce yourself. You have lots and lots of titles, aren't you? But the beauty of it is that you have taken your time so much so to make sure that, we are okay mentally as a nation and in different quarters. And you continue to penetrate to different quarters, the latest on the question of marriage. So please introduce yourself some more so that the people can then understand how much help they get on this moment.
Yes, leader. I am Catherine Gachagua. I am a counseling psychologist, and I have been a counseling psychologist for more than 25 years. I was a high school teacher and left high school. Not that I didn't like my students, I really loved my students.
Yeah.
But I wanted to come to full-time counseling where I could help people who are suffering, whether it is in their families or individuals who have their own issues that they are struggling with. And so I am a marriage and family therapist now because I have had a lot of passion for families and marriages as I see them struggling, not able to pull together in the same direction or be able to put foundations in their marriages so that those foundations they can build on them.
Yeah.
And so our role as marriage and family therapists to make sure that marriages are getting stronger and families are getting stronger so that those families can be able to bring up children who are going to be healthy. I have written a book on effective parenting, parenting in the 21st century. And what I wanted to see is that parents are able to take care of their children, whether they are co-parenting or they are biological parents who are parenting their own children, or they are single parents who are parenting their own children, that all of them can be able to do justice to parenting so that they can produce a caliber of children who are going to be well connected with themselves and well connected with other people, whether they are within the family or they are within the communities.
Do you suppose there's a gap in this space that you are passionate about as it stands today? Even as we ask this very crucial question, just where are we at mentally as a country, that element of mental health?
Thank you so much, Rita. And we've been looking at it at Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association. And again, we have a lot of data. Kenya is ranking number 5 among African countries that are having the highest number of cases of depression. And again, 25% of the population in the country is affected by depression, meaning we are not in a very good place. Even when you look at data from the World Health Organization, in 2007 and 2013 and 2017, we had the highest preference of suicide. That communicates that when society is going through turbulence, because those are moments of electioneering, then people are not in a very good mental space. And therefore, we need to appreciate the numbers. Again, we say that out of 4 people, we have 1 who is mentally sick, meaning we have many people who are struggling with mental health challenges within our country.
You have held this position that you're holding today as the chair of KCPA initially, and then, of course, exited the space, then elected back to it. What was done then? What is being done now? And why is it that even with the existence of very many councillors and such a vibrant association, we still are lagging behind in terms of addressing the concerns of mental health?
Right. In the year 2009 up to 2012, I was the chair of then Kenya Counseling Association. It changed its name in 2013 and became Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association.
Right.
That is KCPA. And during that period of time, we wanted many people to be trained in counseling and psychology. And therefore, we partnered with Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development so that we can develop curricula that was going to help us in training counselors, certainly curricula that was recognized. And again, even in the advent of TVET CDAC, that is Curriculum Development, Assessment and Certification Council within TVET, we continued to develop curricula, that is in 2013, that was expanding the curricula within psychology and counseling, because then we were able to develop a diploma in marriage and family therapy. Now, come to this time, because I got again into the position of the chair in the year 2022. And the ground is different right now, because we are faced with a lot of challenges. People are going through struggle. The preference of suicide is getting higher and higher, and especially amongst our young people. And it is not like counselors and psychologists within KCPA and even within other professional bodies are not doing their part. But we need all persons to do their part, whether it is within the family or it is within a marriage relationship or within the community or even within workplace. Picture a research that was done last year among organizations within workplace. It brought out very scaring figures that 56% of the workers, they have mental health illnesses or they have symptoms of mental health illnesses.
And in fact, this year's theme, that is on the Day of Mental Health Awareness in the world, is basically about mental health awareness at the level of the workplace. So just how is this then being addressed?
Right. When it comes to workplace, just like other institutions like schools or even other organizations, what we need to think is carrying out baseline surveys. Because when you carry out a baseline survey, like the one that was carried out last year, it has a way of informing us what we need to input when it comes to the policies that are supposed to help us to be able to come up with programming that is going to take care of the mental health situations within our workplaces. And we will be able to come up with the interventions. Are we talking about sensitization?
Right.
Are we talking about psychoeducation? Are we talking about counseling for the workers? Or even, are we talking about providing within the policy in the workplace moments when workers can actually be given time to go and relax? Or even have refreshment and recreative activities that they can engage in so that they can be able to air out or they can be able to de-escalate what is happening in the inside for them to feel they are human again, to be able to engage with work much more productively.
All right. So, of course, the questions would linger as to whether these, services of counseling, are available. Just how readily available and accessible are they not just for persons who are in workspaces, but even those ones that are in remote areas? Because then we have this concern growing so much so, you know, for persons who are in remote areas, of course, for, like we have said, institutions, students, you know, university students, this is actually over the roof as when it comes to the question of mental health. So availability, access, just how is it in the country?
Right. For Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, we have counselors and psychologists in all our 47 counties.
Okay.
We wouldn't say that we have enough, but at least when it comes to every county, we can say we can reach out to a counselor or we can reach out to a psychologist so that they can provide help where help is required.
Okay.
And we have gotten to a place in this country where we do not move counselors from one county to another, because we have counselors in those particular counties. All that we need to do is to link up with them. And within the structure of KCPA, we have the secretariat within every county that has the numbers of counselors and psychologists within that particular county. And therefore we can reach out. We work with Kenya Red Cross and we work with those organizations like Kenya Red Cross and others because they know that KCPA has the numbers in regard to the counselors and psychologists within those different regions, and especially the counties and the sub-counties. And therefore we can bring the counselors along when they are required so that they can be able to respond to particular disasters and particular stresses and distresses that are happening within particular spaces. When we were having the issue of the hillside primary school,
The Russia, yes.
yeah, we didn't take counselors from other counties to Nyeri. We just brought together the counselors in Nyeri, and those are the ones that were responding to the parents and to the family members and even to others that were requiring support, like even the school, the teachers and the administration, because you have to look at the whole age of those that are going to require support. And when psychological debriefing is done, we are bringing down people, what they are thinking and what they are feeling, so that they can start now processing what has happened in a much healthier manner. What we were stopping is we do not want the children from hillside to always develop or continually develop mental health symptoms because of a trauma that was not processed at the right time.
Sometimes people then would argue perhaps that seeking mental health services is rather expensive in the country. As you address this, just how important is professional counseling? Because my understanding or my thinking would be there's no amount of money that is worth the mental wellness of a human being. As you address this concern of just the affordability of accessing professional care and counseling, how much, just how important is it so that the people who are watching can well understand that perhaps this stage is beyond what I can be advised at the level of home or friends and all that, and therefore I need professional counseling and guidance?
The way it is, Leader, is that people in Kenya need to prioritize counseling as a service that attends to their emotional needs and psychological needs. Because you see, when we need food, we go and buy it. When we need clothing, we go and buy clothing. We haven't prioritized counseling services to that level where we see that it is a basic need. And we need to get there where we can see that we actually need to be going for counseling, even if you don't have issues that you are struggling with, just for you to go through an evaluation.
All right. Well, I'm getting surprised that sometimes it's necessary that...
Just for one to go through an evaluation, because when you go through an assessment, we will be able to pick, reader, you are having some anxieties that you have not handled. And you may be ignoring that, but that can escalate to another level that is not going to be very healthy for you. Or even a marriage that is not having turbulence. Can it be taken for counseling? Like, say, we will have counseling at the beginning of the year. We will have another one maybe in the middle of the year. And as we are coming to the end of the year, this means that we are more preventative when it comes to counseling rather than curative all the time. Because you see, leader, we wait for people to be sick so that we can wait for them on the other end, whether it's about addictions, that now the addiction level, they are so dependent to a point that now they need curative, they are not going to be needing prevention.
Speaking of which, we are witnessing adjustments in the health sector. Just how much has this been factored in, the concerns on mental health, in terms of making sure that, we actually move from that space where then we seek advice or professional advice when we think, things have hit the fan, or, we get to a point where we say that perhaps we need to just have these checkups, even before it gets to a point where someone is not well. Just how much has this been factored in?
You know, Rita, in this country, we are very rich when it comes to policies like in the Ministry of Health that are addressing like suicide. Like now we are supposed to be bringing the preference of suicide down by 10%. And so we need to shout about that. And we need to implement and mainstream the policies within government so that they can work for us. And therefore, what I would want to say is that we need to ensure that we are providing the correct information regarding mental health so that people can know what to do. Like KCPA is going to be having 2 days in the month of October, that is on 22nd and 23rd of October, on suicide prevention. And we are going to be having cases where people are going to be talking about their own struggles with suicide ideations. And we are also going to be having papers that are going to be presented on suicide prevention in the workplace, and even in the family, and even in the community. So I would say that invite us many times so that we can talk about this and we can be able to make a difference even in our faith institutions, because that's where people go many times, whether we are talking about mosques or we are talking about Christians, and those are spaces where a lot of education can be done, and we can come up with interventions within our faith institutions that can help people, and they can be able to reach out to the community so that we can take care of our people much better.
KCPA being amongst the hugest associations or institutions that then speak to the concerns of, mental health in the country. Are there, challenges that you have faced in terms of, working together with government now that you say you have, pushed to have this incorporated at the level of the curriculum? Just what are the notable challenges that perhaps you feel like they would be addressed different so that we make, a good stride in relation to this?
I think one of the challenges that we contend with, and every institution contends with that, are limited resources to be able to do that which we think needs to be done. Like, for example, we know in schools we need to train more of the mental health ambassadors, or even what we call the peer counselors, or even the psychosocial counselors, because when we equip the students to be able to help other students, or workers to be able to help other workers, then we are making sure that people will detect the cases as they happen, and they are also going to refer appropriately. So the challenge of the limited resources, and also the challenge of we do not have platforms where we can be able to continually teach and continually sensitize so that people can be able to appreciate that they need to take the issues of mental health very, very seriously at the individual level, at the family level, at the community level, at the workplace level, at the institutional levels.
You see, you mentioned a very important thing, you know, in the involvement of everybody. But in the process, you find that there are those ones that are self-declared counselors and psychologists. And sometimes you do not know whether they are speaking, you know, with the confidence or with the authority of a professional. And some of them just decide because, well, I've been a pastor, then they declare themselves a psychologist. They declare themselves a counselor. Just how safe is that in terms of getting the right individuals to handle this concern?
Leader, we are in a better space than we were maybe years gone.
Right.
We have the Counselors and Psychologists Act that is now getting operationalized under the Ministry of Health, where it is domiciled.
Okay.
And with the legislation of counselors and psychologists, it is going to be weeding out those that are masquerading to be counselors and psychologists eventually. It may not have done that now, but eventually we are going to be getting there, because anyone, even a pastor who is not trained as a counselor or psychologist, because the law is very clear that you have to have a diploma in counseling psychology, or you have to have a diploma either in counseling or in psychology for you to be given a license to practice counseling and psychology in this, our country. So time is coming when some of those people who are masquerading are not going to be doing what they do today.
Okay. We are in an era where technology is basically where everybody is headed. What is being done in the country so that we can tap into this, the space of technology in terms of addressing the mental health concerns that we have as a country?
We know that has happened to a very great level, but more needs to be done.
Okay.
And now counselors and psychologists are conducting a lot of counseling online, that you don't have to go to anyone's office for you to receive counseling. It can be provided to you right where you are through the virtual counseling. And we have been doing a lot of training virtually so that people can be able to get to a level to appreciate where they are. Is it loss and grief?
Okay.
We train people so that they can know when you're having loss and grief, these are the symptoms that you can experience for you to know that I am not in a good space. It is now turning to be pathological, and I now need to see a counselor or a psychologist so that I can be helped to manage my grief, because I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating, I'm not dressing, I'm not waking up from bed, I don't have even interest in anything. I'm not taking care of my babies and the way I used to love my babies. So when training is done, people are able to pick themselves from where they are at, and they now realize I need to seek for professional help right away.
Okay. We talk about stigma up until today. It's the irony of it all. And sometimes people will choose to suffer in silence. Sometimes actually someone looks like they are okay, but in real sense, they're burning from inside. How do we address the question of stigma as well as this silent suffering that is so rampant?
I want to tell the people who are watching us and listening to us that we are now having people who are coming out and saying, hey, I have been having suicidal ideations, and they are not ashamed to say that. They take the pride in that. They can be able to talk about it, and they can be able to educate other people, or even to tell other people that they need to come out and talk about it so that they don't have to suffer in silence. As a wife who is going through domestic violence, you don't have to suffer in silence. You can reach out and say, hey, I am going through abuse, and I need to understand to what level have I been affected. And so the stigma is going down, just like the stigma of HIV went down. And people could now say, I am going through this particular condition and I am okay, I'm taking medication, I can get married and that's okay for me. So we would want to get to that space. And KCPA, Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association, we would want to see a situation where people are able to come forth, talk about themselves, tell their family members, this is what I am going through. But we also know that depression makes one to recline, to withdraw, not to talk about your own condition. And therefore, the family members are the ones to say, you are not well and you need treatment, or you need to see a counselor or a psychologist so that you can be supported.
All right. As we come to a close, just how different is, what plays out in the country compared to the global stage, or just how same is it now that beyond the KCPA, you equally sit in other bodies that are more of global bodies? How do they handle it there compared to Kenya? And are we up to par?
We are benchmarking a lot with other organizations like American Psychological Association, American Association of Marriage and Family Therapy. We are borrowing a lot from those bodies because sometimes we are in the same conferences together, we are learning together. International Society of Substance Use Professionals. In the month of June, we had gone to Greece. And this is all for us to be able to benchmark from other countries and bring those lessons here in Kenya so that we can contextualize them or we can customize them so that they can be ready for use by our own people. Yes.
Where do you see us as we come to a close in terms of addressing mental health concerns, perhaps in the next 2, 3, 4 years as we close?
I see us having a lot of resources that we can use. Like I said, we are having a lot of policies that can be customized to organizations so that organizations can come up with interventions or benchmark interventions from other organizations in the country or even in other parts of Africa and in the world, so that we can be able to come up with tight programs, even at the family level, even at the community level, even at the workplace level. And KCPA is there to walk the journey with any organization that would want to implement mental health programs.
Professor, thank you so much. Professor Kate Gachagua, who is the chair of the Kenya Counseling and Psychological Association. You might check out their pages online and get to understand the programs that are coming on board that would indeed be helpful for you, or just how much you can go that extra mile to ensure that you get help with the counselors that are registered under this. Professor, thank you so much for the great insights and for the updates that you've given us in relation to this. Remember that we have these cases, as Professor highlights, and it's important that we speak out the moment we feel like things are not going the right direction. And if we have our loved ones that are not willing to speak out, let us probe further. Let us help them get that help. It was great having you once again, Professor. Thank you so much. And thank you so much as well for watching and for the feedback. We have to exit the stage at this very hour, but we look forward to see you again on Saturday. That is on Her Say. My name is Linda Alela. Do have